Well, would you look what we have here? Hey there, all you friends, true believers, and newcomers alike. I'm Superfly Comics Guy, and today we've got ourselves an all-Marvel, all-omni haul, featuring all the books I picked up in February and March of 2023. So I will be the one taking you through these books as we unbox them, get some first impressions, but of course these aren't meant to be reviews. I will save those for when I've actually read the books myself. But you know how we like to do things on these hauls. I like to showcase these books in ascending order of my personal excitement for them. So that means strap in, get comfy, leave a like if you enjoy the video, leave a comment if you want to have a nerdy little discussion with me, but otherwise, let's go. Okay, so first up we've got Avengers by Kurt Busiek and George Perez, Volume 1. Let's dive in. There we are, guys. There is the standard cover to this omnibus. And there is the spine. Yeah, we've got some gorgeous art here by Mr. George Perez. Rest in peace. There's the back. Cover price of $125 US, $156.25 Canadian. Let's see what we have on the inside here. Slip off the dust jacket. Oh, looks like just a repeat of the dust jacket cover. Interesting. Ooh, but it is a wraparound still, so that is good. So let's stretch this book out and then take a look at that. Wow, okay, so that was kind of an anticlimactic stretch. Well, that's a very, very small eye there. Huh, interesting. I'll have to stretch that out some more as I'm reading it. Paper quality seems, oh, geez, okay. Very, very delicate. Got to be careful of that. I was noticing some instances of bleed through as I was stretching, so we'll keep that in mind, but let's have a look at that wraparound cover that I alluded to before. Oh, man. Yup. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with George Perez, everything you need to know about his art is illustrated right here. He was excellent, arguably unbeatable at drawing, just depicting multiple different characters on the same page, but then making sure that each character has so much detail given to them and personality. I unfortunately wasn't very familiar with George Perez's work until, I guess, relatively recently, because that's when I got into comics. But, man, rest in peace. But yeah, we can take a quick flip through in here, get a good first impression of the art, some of the stories in here. Oh, that's cool. Get a kind of an overview page of a bunch of the characters. Nice. And there's that cover from the, well, standard cover, the dust jacket, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, honestly, I almost didn't pick this book up. I tend to struggle, I found, with 90s comics a lot, 90s art. But I figured, hey, if anyone can change my mind, it would be the late, great George Perez, right? And obviously Kurt Busiek is a very, very talented writer as well. I really enjoyed his work on Untold Tales of Spider-Man, for example. But yeah, I think the issue I had with like 90s art was probably mostly due to the way things were colored. The pencils here look fantastic, but there is a little bit of that like sort of 90s coloring where, I don't know, I feel like the coloring lacks a lot of nuance usually. It's like if something's red, then it's like everything is red. If something's blue, then everything is blue. I don't know, maybe that's just me. It's a little too bold for my liking, but I did want to check this out because it was discounted so much. I think I wanted to get more familiar with some of the Avengers' big stories in comics, and a lot of people say this is one of the best Avengers runs to read. This started in 1998. I don't know how long it ran for, but I think in here you're getting some iconic stories like the Age of Ultron saga, and I think some of the Kang the Conqueror stories as well, which will be pertinent for the MCU coming up here shortly. Seems like that's the next big bad they're setting up. So hey, Might as well do some homework, some research, right? Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not typically a fan of 90s art, but, you know, this is looking pretty good so far, so I'm optimistic. All right, up next in the hall, we've got
the Immortal Iron Fist.
Oh, geez, Danny, are you serious? Did you really have to interrupt and spoil the surprise like that?
I'm the Iron Fist.
Okay, yes, I know, we get it. You're the Immortal.
I am the Iron Fist.
Is that it? Are you done?
I am the Iron Fist.
Okay, you know what? Never mind him, guys. Let's just look at the book. Alrighty, guys, there we go. The Immortal Iron Fist and the Immortal Weapons. Here we have the standard cover by, I believe, David Aja? Yeah, it looks like it. And there is also a direct market cover by Patrick Zurcher, I believe. Wasn't a huge fan of that one. I don't usually go for green myself, but I don't know. I thought this looked pretty cool. There's the spine for you real quick. And the back. Oh, that's cool. that looks kind of Matrixy to me. Anybody else? Cover price of $125 US, $156.25 Canadian. I got this on release week from IST for 48% off. Yeah. Get the dust jacket off. And very, very green and yellow cover. Let's stretch this and take a look. There we go. First stretch is done. And yeah, much better eye on this one than we had on that Avengers book just now. Unfortunately, the page quality seems to be about the same. Maybe a little bit thicker than the Avengers book, but still pretty thin. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword with these new Marvel Omnis, because it's like the paper is super thin and it kind of bothers me sometimes when I see lots of bleed through. But at the same time, they like lay over so well and they're pretty easy to read. So, I don't know. I guess pick your poison? But let's have a look at that wraparound. Damn. Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of green, but geez, that's actually really cool. That is a beautiful cover. Yeah. Wow. But all right, we can start flipping through this book a little bit. So yeah, if you don't know who Iron Fist is, that's fine. I figure a lot of people don't. But I've always been mildly intrigued by the character. You know, he's this martial artist sort of guy in the Marvel universe, but he can like focus his chi into his fist and punch with like incredible force. I've always been a fan of martial arts, so like those types of characters always kind of appealed to me. I've only ever seen Iron Fist like briefly interact with like Spider-Man every now and then. So that's really all I knew him from. Didn't know much about him. Admittedly, the reputation of the Netflix show definitely soured a bit of that interest for me. But hey, I've discovered I'm a big fan of Ed Brubaker, who is the writer on this series. So I figured I would give this a shot. I was keeping my eye on this book, and when I saw that it was going for pretty cheap on release week on IST, 48% off, I was like, hey, I'm already buying a couple other books. Might as well throw this in there, get a good discount, and possibly check out a good series. I am quite digging the artwork, I gotta say. It reminds me a lot of the art that was happening in Daredevil around this time, that sort of Michael Lark style here. I know David Aja is also on this book, but yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the art. Oh, damn, that looks sick, dude. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, good first impression. Good first impression.
I'm the Immortal Iron Fist.
Oh, will you just get out of here, please? The next book we have is The Ultimates by Mark Miller and Brian Hitch. Let's dive into this. Alrighty, so here we are. So this is the standard cover to this omnibus. I believe it's done by Brian Hitch. but there is also a direct market cover, which is sort of like a widescreen format. I've never been a fan. Well, not very rarely am I a fan of the widescreen format for covers. There's the spine for you. And the back. Cover gallery. Sweet. Cover price of 100 US, 125 Canadian. This went on sale for 60% off on IST. It was actually pretty funny. Shout out to them, because the day I had ordered it, it was just regular price, so it was 40%. But then the very next day, it went on like a sale for 60% off. But they were super, super helpful. They actually, when I reached out to them, they price matched for me. So I was able to get the extra, 60% off discount. So yeah, shout out to IST. They don't need it. I'm a tiny channel. I'm not sponsored or anything, but I do like to give credit where credit is due. Speaking of giving credit, that is a very nice image of Cap there. Wow. What do we have on, oh boy. Look at that. Looks like we got a wraparound, guys. All right. You know what that means. Time to stretch and take a look. And there we go. Very positive first impression there with the eye. Looking nice and big. Especially for a book like this that's not too big. Whoa, what the heck is going on there? Jesus. Anyway, moving on. Pages seem, I think a little bit thicker than Iron Fist and Avengers. Not the thickest pages, but seems pretty good. I wasn't noticing a huge amount of bleed through as I was flipping through. A lot of the art here is pretty dark, so that probably helps too. Damn, that's pretty sick too. But yeah, build quality is generally, on first impression, looks pretty okay. Let's have a look at that wraparound cover. Ooh, yeah. That looks pretty nice. I like that. That reminds me of the, well, I won't spoil the surprise. But it reminds me of another Avengers-related image, we'll say. So yeah, if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know I am a massive, massive fan of Ultimate Spider-Man. My introduction to comics. Oh man, look at old school Cap there. But yeah, huge fan of Ultimate Spider-Man. Back in the early 2000s, Marvel started the Ultimate Universe, which is like an alternate universe to the main Marvel universe, where they sort of started over a little bit. They tried to make a more new reader-friendly version of these characters for people to get into. People who are too intimidated by the decades and decades of Marvel history that had come before. And I loved it, man. Ultimate Spider-Man was freaking amazing. Still is today. Still holds up. And this, if you don't know what it is, if you haven't figured it out already, the Ultimates are just the Ultimate Universe versions of the Avengers. Because, God forbid, we just name them the Ultimate Avengers. No, they have to be the Ultimates. That name always threw me off. But hey, you got freaking Sam Jackson, Nick Fury here. Yeah, looks pretty cool. I know it's a bit of a controversial series, or I guess more appropriately, Mark Millar is kind of a controversial writer. Some people find him to be super dark, overly edgy, but I don't know. Sometimes that's kind of a guilty pleasure, I found. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think I've actually read anything by Mark Millar before, but hey, given my interest in the Ultimate Universe, I figured this made sense, and especially for the price I got it for. Definitely can't complain there. Up next, we've got something for all my fellow Spidey fans out there in the Spider-Verse / Spider-Geddon Omnibus. Let's dive in. There we are, guys, and man, oh man, do I love how this color pops. The bright orange flames and all these characters. Damn. This is the standard cover, by the way. There is also a direct market cover, which I wasn't a huge fan of, so I was okay with going with this crazy cool looking standard cover here. I was definitely not expecting this book to be as chonky as it is. For whatever reason, I just expected this book to be smaller, but nope. It's a big boy. And it has a cover price of $125 US, $156.25 Canadian. Amazon, for whatever reason, had this for 44% off. Amazon Canada. So after tax, I only paid, what, $87 for this? So I mean, like, damn, that was a low enough price for me to go, okay, fine, I will order from Amazon. But yeah, really happy about that. Let's see, Under the Dust Jacket. What the? Okay. Interesting cover. Okay. Let me stretch this and we'll take a look. All right. There's the eye that we have after a first stretch. Not super impressed, but I've seen worse. I'm sure it'll open up more after I read it for the first time. Generally seems to be laying over pretty well. As far as page quality goes, oh, that was 2 pages. Yeah, okay, pretty thin. Nothing to write home about. But I don't think I'm noticing too much page bleed here. Actually, there is a decent amount there in that white space. Damn, this art is looking sick, though. Let's have a look at that wraparound that we saw before. So I was chuckling before because my first thought when I saw this was pizza, and I couldn't figure out why. But then I was like, you know what? This reminds me of those like tablecloths you would see at like a kid's birthday party when you were younger, with all the pizza plates and everything over top. So I think that's why that is. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
Pizza time.
Also, I totally forgot to point out, but you gamers out there might notice a particular iteration of Spider-Man appearing in this omnibus. Yeah, that's right.
Don't forget the hyphen between spider and man.
But anyway, let's start diving through the book, get some first impressions. So, Spider-Verse, let's start with that, because this really is 2 events in one, Spider-Verse and Spider-Geddon. No, I did not just make those names up. Those are real names that they picked. Spider-Verse, from what I understand, was a huge kind of Spidey event in the mid-2010s. A whole bunch of different Spideys coming together from across the multiverse to unite against a pretty big, pretty intimidating foe that had appeared in the 2000 Spider-Man run, actually. Oh, damn. Wolverine. Wasn't expecting that. Cool. Yeah, huge crossover. Bunch of dumb fun, no doubt. But hey, speaking of gamers, all the OGs out there will remember the real Spider-Verse. The Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions game from 2010 that had you playing as 4 different Spider-Men teaming up to recover the Tablet of Order and Chaos. Man, that was such a good game. And I swear, after that game came out, it's like all this Spider-Verse stuff just started to blow up. I don't know for sure if that game was the catalyst, but I mean, as the timing, if not, then the timing must have been one crazy coincidence, yeah. And then Spider-Verse gave us characters like Spider-Gwen, of course. And then eventually we would see the sort of Spider-Verse theme being continued now in like movies like, Into the Spider-Verse, or even recently in Spider-Man No Way Home. It's pretty cool to see all this Spider-Verse stuff becoming so popular now. It's like, man, if you think like 20 years ago, like 2000s Marvel, you never would have imagined seeing stuff like this on the big screen. But here we are. What a world we live in. And then from what I understand, Spider-Geddon was kind of like the follow-up to Spider-Verse, or like a sequel type of thing. I know even less about Spider-Geddon than I do about Spider-Verse, but definitely should be pretty cool. Oh man, freaking Captain Universe Spidey over there. So cool. I'm definitely going to enjoy looking at some of the art in here and trying to name all of the different Spider-Man. Oh, Spider-Man 2099. Oh, it's so cool. I cannot wait for that omnibus. That omnibus is going to be so much fun. Alright, now I don't usually talk about a lot of X-related content on this channel, but I'd figured I'd treat you guys today with Uncanny X-Men Omnis Volume 2 and 3. Let's go. Okay, so why don't we start with Volume 2, seeing as it's how it's already open. This is the standard cover by, I believe, Stuart Immonen, correct me if I'm wrong, which is an homage to issue 137, which is fitting because the direct market cover is issue 137.
They're the same picture.
So that's pretty cool. It's kind of nice when they do that. You can see this is one of the older printings that I was able to track down of Volume 2 because we got the big kind of bold spine lettering there. And then the back, your cover gallery, cover price of 100 US, 113 Canadian. Yeah, those old conversion rates make me chuckle. Let's get this off. I'm not expecting anything crazy. And yeah, nothing to write home about. Just your classic sort of silver/bronze age design that Marvel does for these books. No real art or anything underneath. Just all black with some lettering. But we can just start diving right in considering this has already been stretched out. You know, I've always been relatively interested in the X-Men. I'm familiar with various, their games, their shows, their movies. Nice table of contents there. But I've always been very, very intimidated by the idea of jumping into their comics just because there's so much of them, and I'm already a huge Spidey collector, so gotta pick my battles. But yeah, I mean, X-Men was originally created by Stan Lee and I believe Jack Kirby, but the series wasn't very successful and ended up being canceled. Their first series was like in the 60s. But then came Chris Claremont in the 80s, and every mutant and their mother raves about this run, about how it's the best X-Men run ever. And yeah, Claremont was on this series for a long time. But yeah, since Volume 1 is planned to be restocked, I believe within the next month or so, I figured I'd finally break the ice, give the X-Men a solid try. I don't want to go too crazy with it, so I'm just going to limit myself to the first 3 volumes of Uncanny X-Men. Otherwise, I just imagine my collection would get way out of hand. But yeah, I mean, I tried out Astonishing X-Men, and I thought that was pretty decent. But you know what? Maybe I'll appreciate that book more after I familiarize myself with some of this material. So yeah, you can see we're in the 80s here. The art is definitely reflective of that time. Yeah, the art is really cool. I did recently review the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 3, and I think that sort of like lit a fire within me to go back a bit in time, revisit some older comics. So here we are. Why don't we take a look at Volume 3 real quickly too? Before we do that, here's the eye real quick. You can see it's pretty fantastic. And the page quality is looking to be quite good. Definitely thicker than usual. And there we are. There is Volume 3. Standard cover once again. There is a direct market cover to this. I am not very well versed in my X-Men covers, so I don't actually know what the direct market cover issue number is, but I don't know. There it is. Take a look. There is the spine for you. Once again, got that big, bold spine font there, which I'm happy to see. And then cover gallery. Cover price of 125 US, 157 Canadian. I snagged it for 100 US from a seller on eBay, and it was like, still sealed. So, hey, that's a win in my book. We can take a look under the dust jacket, but once again, I'm not really expecting anything revolutionary. And yeah, seems about right. Same design as Volume 2, really. Just a bunch of lettering on black background. Nothing to write home about. But oh well. Let's see what's on the inside, after we give it a stretch, of course. And there we are, stretching is done. Eyes looking fantastic. Page numbers are looking solid. Art is looking crisp. Page thickness is, well, it's not as thick as, I don't think it's as thick as volume 2. That's weird. But still seems pretty okay. I don't think I'm seeing a lot of page bleed or anything like that. Yeah, looking pretty good. Damn, Storm looking badass there. Let's go back to the beginning, take a bit of a flip through. But yeah, not going to spend too long on this because we just flipped through volume 2. So, more of the same really, but you know, I think having the first 3 volumes of Uncanny X-Men is probably going to be enough for me because as far as I understand, that's where some of the like biggest and most well-known X-Men stories happen, like the Dark Phoenix saga and I think Days of Future Past as well. God Loves, Man Kills, a story that lots of X fans rave about. So, you know, I'm intrigued. I got to see what all the hype is about and form my own opinion, of course. But, you know, I'm intrigued by the X-Men. But we'll see what these Omnis have in store for me once I get around to them. Just need to wait for that restock of Volume 1, baby, and then we'll be set. And now for the penultimate entry in our haul. I literally just pulled this out of the box. Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, Volume 1. Let's dive into this sucker. And there we are, my brothers and sisters. We are looking at the standard cover to the Hickman Avengers Omnibus Volume 1. So, you know, that Ultimates image I was referring to earlier, it was reminding me a lot of this standard cover. There is also a direct market cover of a bunch of Avengers characters floating in space, but I don't know, I just liked the sort of epic scale that this cover has, where they're all walking towards you and the light is shining at you. Pretty cool. There is the spine. Very Hickman-esque, very clean design. Blue on white. And the back. There we go. Cover price of $125 US, $156.25 Canadian. After tax, I believe I paid like 98 Canadian for it. So pretty good. Let's have a look under the dust jacket. And once again, very Hickman-esque. Very clean design. But I do actually kind of like it. Like, it might be boring for some. It's weird because it's like those Silver Age covers that I was showing you before, like the X-Men ones. Those I wasn't super interested in, but then, I don't know, I just like the elegance of this. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's stretch this and take a flip through. There we are. First stretch is done. The eye's okay. It's far from the best, but not the worst it could have been. Pages, though, by God, yeah, very thin. You'll have to be delicate. But yeah, let's go back to the beginning. What's up, Thanos? How you doing, bud? Let's go back to the beginning. Flip through a little bit. So yeah, Hickman Avengers. Sometimes referred to as Hickvengers, and that always makes me laugh because it just makes me picture a whole bunch of Avengers watching NASCAR and riding their dirt bikes. But yeah, man, this omnibus freaking sold quickly. This was a reprint, and already it was running low on stock. I guess a lot of people like me want to read this because, you know, this is also regarded as one of the best Avengers run, albeit this one is much more modern. And geez, already you can see quite a bit of page bleed, and that's probably even showing up on camera quite well. Yeah, very thin pages. And it's also organized, as you can see, in the Hickman style here, where he doesn't include the covers. He kind of treats it as like one long-running story. It's more so split up into chapters than it is issue covers or issues, and then all the covers are at the end of the book. So I don't know. To some people might like that. To me, it's a little weird because it's like I'm reading a comic. I kind of expect the issue covers to be there already. But hey, whatever. To me, it's kind of like watching a movie and only finding out the title at the very end, but whatever. But yeah, at the time that I ordered this, like, it was running low on stock everywhere. Amazon, in-stock trades. I'm pretty sure it's officially out of print at this point. So whatever stock of this is out there, that's the last there is for this reprint. But yeah, definitely looking forward to trying this out. I did read the Fantastic Four Omnis by Jonathan Hickman earlier last year. And I thought those were, they were good. It was all right, but maybe not quite for me because I'm not a huge Fantastic Four guy. But to be honest, the real reason I was reading that was so that I'd be prepared for reading this, because Hickman does like to connect all of his stories together. And Fantastic Four is kind of the prelude to this big Avengers run of his. So yeah, definitely looking forward to diving into this. The art is looking freaking amazing. Wow. I am really, really digging the art. That looks like, if nothing else, that looks to be a high point for sure. But yeah, from the little blurbs I've been reading about this kind of deals with the threat to the multiverse, kind of, because this is kind of the point in time where the 616 universe and the Ultimate Universe were kind of converging and colliding in a way. So that was one of the big themes, but you also have characters like Thanos and the Illuminati playing a big role, and this is kind of right after Bendis's whole like New Avengers run, which I'm also a huge fan of, so definitely looking forward to seeing how this continues. And that brings us to the final book. The book I am most excited about in this haul is Daredevil by Mark Waid, Omnibus Volume 2. Hell yes, baby. Let's go. I'm so hyped about this. Here we have, well, this is an older printing, so this was the only cover available at the time, but the reprint that's coming out at the end of this year will have two new covers, I believe. There is the spine. Oh, so cool. And then the back. Cover price of 100 US, 127 Canadian. I lucked out, man, and found this for cover price, but I'll get into that a bit later. Get the dust jacket off. Yup. That's looking pretty interesting. Hold on, is that a wraparound? Yes. Well, I can show you that immediately, actually, because I've already stretched this out beforehand. So let's take a peek at that. So it's like a emulating Daredevil sort of radar sense there. Pretty cool. But yeah, man, so happy about this book. I've been looking for it for, I want to say, 2 years, and it was out of print for a while, and everywhere I looked, people were just selling it for hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which was insane to me. But recently, it was announced that they're going to reprint Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2 of this series. So then, I noticed listings started to appear on eBay, for example. So I figured it was only a matter of time until one popped up for a good price. And that's what happened, man. One popped up for cover price from a seller in the great lands and plains of Scotland. Yeah, so it was a really good price. I mean, yeah, I had to pay for shipping and everything, but I mean, come on. Daredevil is one of my favorite characters. This art is looking freaking fire, dude. So yeah, this plugs a major gap in my Daredevil collection. I had Volume 1 for the longest time, but I didn't want to start reading Volume 1 until I had Volume 2. And now that the day is here, I can resume my Daredevil reading, plug the gap, and then eventually read Daredevil by Charles Soule as well. Hopefully a Chip Zdarsky Omni soon. Man, good time. This was around the mid 2010s, I want to say. This is around the time period where Daredevil leaves for San Francisco, I think, and he does his crime fighting there. It's written by Mark Waid, and this series is known for kind of taking a more light-hearted approach to Daredevil because the runs leading up to this were just honestly just brutally dark. I love them to death, but yeah, those runs like the Bendis run and the Brubaker run were known for being pretty dark and punishing for our hero Matt Murdock here. So Mark Waid took a different approach, shook things up a bit. But even so, this series has the reputation for being one of the best Daredevil runs. So it's cool to see a new approach pay off like that. But also, Daredevil is just one of those characters where it's like so many of his runs just seem to be really good. He tends to be so consistently written. I don't know if that says more about the character or the writers that are drawn to him. But yeah, man, so freaking excited to dive into this. And I can real quickly show you. The eye is looking pretty fantastic. No gutter loss. I am noticing a little bit of page bleed, but not a crazy amount. The page thickness does seem to be quite nice. So that's awesome. Oh, so happy about this. But there we have it, guys. That is the haul. If you've stuck through the whole thing, thank you so much. I know I ramble a lot. I try not to, I promise, but sometimes I just get carried away. But yeah, thank you so much if you've stuck through the whole thing. Let me know what you think about these books, if you've read any of them before, if you're planning on picking any of them up, which ones you want me to see me review, anything like that. Leave your thoughts down below. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I hope to catch you in another video real soon. So, you have yourself a great day. I've been Superfly Comics Guy, and until next time, you keep reading. Bye, guys.